If you like my videos, don't forget to follow me on social media to keep up to date with all the latest news regarding my channel and my content. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe below or at the end of the video. G'day guys, Dave Lee coming at you once again from Down Under with another movie review. In this video, I'll be taking a look at one of the latest releases from Warner Brothers Pictures, Village Roadshow, and director Clint Eastwood. Starring Spencer Stone, Alek Skarlatos, and Anthony Sadler as themselves. It is the 1517 to Paris. The 1517 to Paris is the true story of the thwarted terrorist attack on a Paris-bound train from Amsterdam on August 21st, 2015, when a radicalist armed with an assault rifle and 270 rounds of ammunition was subdued by passengers. The movie doesn't just chronicle the attack, but also attempts to display the events in the lives of 3 American men leading up to the event. The only catch here is, in an incredibly bold and somewhat bewildering move by Eastwood himself, those brave men who ended up thwarting the attack are portrayed in the movie by themselves. To put it very simply, this movie it's different. It's the only big budget Hollywood biopic of this kind that I can think of, in the way that it actually uses the real life people involved in the incident as the main stars of the movie. It was a decision that sounded perplexing yet promising all at the same time when I first heard about it. It's an interesting and unique concept, and one that certainly did pique my interest, but one that also filled me with a little bit of trepidation as well. Could a big budget tentpole Hollywood movie really succeed without any Hollywood heavyweights, or at least any trained acting professionals in the lead roles? And the answer to that question is no, not really. The 1517 is kind of a hard movie to actually sit here and criticize. Its unique premise certainly does have really good intentions, and for that, I wouldn't really call it a complete and total disaster. And I certainly wouldn't go as far as calling this movie a train wreck or a derailment, which are puns that I am absolutely sure have been bandied across all different reviews all over the internet already. But to be completely honest, this is a movie whose premise sounds really good on paper, but which doesn't really translate very well to the screen. Simply put, this movie just really isn't very good. I also certainly won't sit here and criticize the performances of the movie's main players, because really that's just unfair. These guys are not actors or trained performers, so it goes without saying that their acting abilities were never going to be great. I mean, put me in a big movie like this, and honestly, I wouldn't be any better. But by casting the real life people, Eastwood almost sabotages the movie in a kind of way. For a vast majority of the movie, this doesn't feel like a Hollywood feature, and not once does it feel like a movie that even has Eastwood's fingerprints on it. I actually read somewhere that Eastwood took on directing duties on this movie to pass time between directing Sully and his next big feature. Watching the movie, it certainly feels like Eastwood was nothing but a director for hire on this piece. The best way I could describe the kind of tone and feel of this movie will be to liken it to one of those low-budget History Channel docudramas, or even poorly and cheaply produced reenactments that you would find on one of their documentaries. Except in this case, this is an entire movie of those reenactments. I think that's a pretty good way to put it. Just for 1 minute, could you imagine the result of Clint Eastwood making Sully with Chesley Sullenberger playing the role of himself instead of Tom Hanks? What you are imagining right now pretty much completely sums up what the 1517 to Paris really is. The fact that the performances of these guys isn't all that great really isn't that surprising, and once again is nothing that's deserving of any kind of scorn. But what I kind of found interesting about it is how their performances kind of drag down the performances of the other experienced actors that were actually in the movie, such as Jenna, Fischer, and Judy, Greer. It's a really good example of why chemistry is so important in movies, and how one actor needs another actor to bounce off of in order to create their character and develop their performance. That said, I'm honestly not even sure if the likes of Tom Hanks or any other big Hollywood actor could have saved this movie that we got. If we were to take the 3 main guys out of the equation, the 1517 still really isn't a very good movie at all. The story of the incident itself certainly isn't enough to sustain an entire feature. In fact, the incident itself only takes place within the last 15 to 20 minutes of the movie, with everything that leads up to it kind of feeling like innocuous filler material whose sole purpose of even being there is simply to pad out the runtime of what probably should have been a television movie into a 1.5 hour feature film. In fact, the minimal runtime of this movie actually makes it the shortest directorial effort in Clint Eastwood's career. And once again, this just makes me wonder why this movie was actually produced as a tentpole Hollywood big budget movie and not like a short special for the History Channel or, you know, one of those reasonably modest budgeted docudramas like the Ridley Scott produced Killing Kennedy or Killing Lincoln. While everything leading up to the event does actually become the main focus of this movie, not much of it is really all that interesting or important. There's an entire sightseeing sequence where the guys go and visit all these different landmarks around Italy, which must have run for at least half an hour and made me think to myself, what is this movie? There's also a huge handful of really clumsy and pretty awkward moments in this movie where the leads stumble through this dialogue, which is obviously designed to, I guess, foreshadow the coming attack in the movie. Should we really go to Paris? Everyone that we met said that they didn't really like it that much. Yeah, why not? Let's go to Paris. It's part of the original plan. We should still go. Yeah, I guess you're right. We're here in Europe, we may as well go to Paris. I mean, it's good-hearted dialogue, which is obviously meant to add a bit of suspense to the movie. As an audience, we're supposed to be sitting there going, oh my lord, they almost didn't go to Paris. They almost didn't stop the attack. Imagine if they weren't on that train. But instead, I'm sitting there just trying not to laugh because it feels insensitive to laugh. And again, what is just such a good-hearted movie. The movie also makes this attempt of flashing forward to really short snippets, maybe 20-30 seconds of things that occurred during the attack. Every 20 minutes of the movie or so, it's almost as if Eastwood and his editor, when they got in the editing booth, decided just to throw in little snippets of the train sequence just to remind us all why we're here in the first place. When we finally do get to what we've all come for, the movie really kicks into gear, feeling more like a really good action movie than a reenactment, even giving us a taste of what the movie could have been. But unfortunately, it's just over all too soon. From time to time, this movie does honestly show glimmers of the potential it really did have if it were executed a little more sharply, but unfortunately, it just manages to fall a little short every single time. In the end, the movie was interesting enough to sustain my attention. I certainly wouldn't call it a boring movie, even if that travel sequence is just a little bit of a drag. It certainly was interesting to find out about the three heroes and a little bit about their life and what led to their involvement in the thwarting of the attack. And it's actually really refreshing that the movie spends zero time trying to explain the motives of the radical behind the attack, or really the how and the why of it all. In the end, this is simply a story about three guys who find themselves in the right place at the right time, how they found themselves there, and how it changed their lives. It's not a movie about the attack or the radical that was behind it. It's a movie about the bravery of the three heroes who stopped it. All in all, this movie has a whole lot of flaws, but we do have to give credit where credit's due. These three guys, who are not performers in any sense of the word, did their absolute best. And even though it was a really odd move to cast these guys as themselves, I would honestly still commend Clint Eastwood and the studio for having the bravery to follow through with this unique idea and creating what, again, in the end, is just a really well-intentioned movie. For that, this movie certainly is far and away from being a disaster or a failure. It's just simply something that's different and unique. And for that, I would honor this movie with an easy 2.5 train carriages out of 5. The 1517 to Paris is a well-intentioned movie which certainly had high potential, but which ultimately finds itself sabotaged by a clunky script and the decision to cast the real-life heroes as its leads. The movie certainly is worth a watch at some point, especially if you're keen to check out the unique way in which it presents itself, or if you want to learn a little bit about the heroes behind the story, or you want to learn a bit about the event itself but in the end it really doesn't offer much more information, perhaps even less than the Wikipedia entry. Once again, thanks to my amazing friends over at Village Roadshow for providing me with in-season passes to check out this movie for the purposes of this review. If you're a first-time viewer of this channel, this is the first video you've watched and you'd like to check out more videos like this in the future, then please, at the end of the video, give me some support and hit that big old subscribe button up on your screen. To all my regular viewers out there, thank you once again for joining me. To absolutely everybody out there, don't forget to hit that like button down below. It does a great deal in getting my videos out there. I hope I'll see you all again soon, guys. Until then, take care and I hope you have a wonderful day.